What if everything you were taught about being good was just a way to keep you small? What if the truth isn't comforting but disturbing? And what if the purpose of life isn't to be happy, but to become stronger than you've ever imagined? This is not a motivational video. This is a warning and a challenge. Because Friedrich Nietzsche wasn't just a philosopher, he was a psychological earthquake. He didn't ask you to believe in anything. He asked you to question everything. Nietzsche wasn't polite. He wasn't nice. He wasn't here to make you feel safe. He was here to burn down illusions. He once said, "If you gaze long enough into the abyss gazes back into you." He wasn't talking about monsters. He was talking about truth. Truth isn't pretty, it's brutal. And most people would rather live inside a lie than face the raw chaos of reality. But Nietzsche believed only by facing that chaos can you become truly free. So who was this man that so many feared and yet so many admired? Friedrich Nietzsche was born in 1844 in a small town in Germany. His father was a Lutheran pastor. He grew up in a religious household, but by his early 20s he rejected it all. Why? Because he saw something most people didn't want to admit, that religion, at least in the way it was used, wasn't making people stronger. It was making them obedient. It was comforting the weak instead of challenging them to grow. Nietzsche didn't hate God. He hated what we had done with the idea of God. He saw a society that had become spiritually lazy. People weren't asking hard questions anymore. They were just memorizing answers. So he said something that shocked the world. God is dead. But here's what most people miss. Nietzsche wasn't celebrating that. He was warning us. He meant that the idea of God as the foundation of morality, truth, and meaning was collapsing. And once that foundation was gone, we'd be left with nothing. No meaning, no structure, just a terrifying freedom. And most people aren't ready for that kind of freedom. Because it means you don't get to borrow your values. You have to build them. You don't get to blame the system. You become the system. That's the weight Nietzsche wanted you to carry. Not because it's easy, but because it's the only path to becoming who you truly are. He called that person the Übermensch, the Overman, the human who rises above herd morality and creates his own values. The Übermensch doesn't follow, he creates. He doesn't imitate, he invents. He doesn't seek comfort, he seeks challenge. Because growth doesn't come from peace, it comes from pressure. Nietzsche wrote, "One must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. That chaos, the confusion, the pain, the doubt isn't a sign of failure. It's the soil of transformation. But most people run from it. They numb themselves with routine, with distraction, with religion, with ideology, with comfort." Nietzsche hated comfort. He believed that every great human, every genius, every creator, every revolutionary was forged in discomfort. Pain was not the enemy. It was the fire that forged character. He said, "To live is to suffer. To survive is to find some meaning in the suffering, and that meaning isn't given to you. You create it." He didn't believe in pre-written purpose. He believed in personal responsibility, and that's where Nietzsche becomes terrifying. Because once you accept that you are the author of your own life, you can no longer blame anyone else for the way it turns out. You can't hide behind God. You can't hide behind society. You can't even hide behind your past. It's all you now. That level of freedom is overwhelming, but it's also the only way to become real. Nietzsche didn't just want you to survive. He wanted you to become powerful. Not powerful over others, but powerful over yourself. The part of you that gives up. The part of you that avoids. The part of you that wants to stay small. That's the real enemy. And Nietzsche's philosophy was a war against that part of you. Nietzsche understood something most people avoid, that morality isn't always moral. Sometimes it's just social control wearing a mask. He looked at history and saw that good and evil were invented concepts, shaped by whoever had the power. He called it master morality versus slave morality. What does that mean? Master morality is born from strength, from action, from courage, from achievement. Slave morality is born from weakness, from fear, from resentment, from obedience. In simple terms, the strong call things good if they express power. The weak call things evil if they feel threatened by them. Nietzsche believed that modern society was built on slave morality, a morality that rewards weakness and demonizes strength. He wasn't saying compassion is bad. He was saying don't confuse weakness with virtue. He believed that most people pretend to be good because they're afraid to be powerful. They say you shouldn't because they're too scared to say, I will. Nietzsche wanted you to stop lying to yourself. If you feel envy, admit it. If you want power, own it. If you're afraid, face it. Because pretending to be good won't make you great. Only truth can. And truth often hurts. He said, you have your way. I have my way. As for the right way, the correct way, and the only way, it does not exist. There is no single truth. There is no one path. There is only your path if you have the courage to walk it. But walking that path is lonely. Nietzsche knew this. He wrote about it constantly, the pain of thinking differently. He said, the higher we soar, the smaller we appear to those who cannot fly. And that's the curse of growth. As you rise, fewer people understand you. Most people live horizontally, moving from job to job, idea to idea, identity to identity. But Nietzsche wanted you to live vertically, to go deep, to rise above, to evolve. And that means being misunderstood, being rejected, being laughed at. Because you're not speaking their language anymore. You're speaking your truth. And most people aren't ready for that. They want you to stay like them. Predictable, agreeable, safe. But Nietzsche's hero, the Übermensch, doesn't apologize for becoming more. He embraces the pain of transformation. He doesn't numb it. He doesn't blame it. He uses it. He said, what does not kill me makes me stronger. But not in the shallow way we say it today. He meant something deeper. Suffering isn't something to avoid. It's something to digest, to absorb, to metabolize, until it becomes your strength. Nietzsche's life was a painful one. He suffered from physical illness, migraines, isolation, and eventually mental collapse. But his work, his words, survived longer than any system he challenged, because he wasn't trying to be popular. He was trying to be real. And real things don't die. Even when the man disappears, the truth he unearthed stays alive. That's why his writing is still read today, still feared, still quoted, still misunderstood. Because Nietzsche doesn't give you answers. He gives you mirrors. And what you see in that mirror is up to you. Do you see someone brave or someone afraid? Do you see someone honest or someone hiding? Do you see someone becoming or someone avoiding? Nietzsche believed that every person has two selves, the one they are and the one they could become. And the only way to bridge that gap is to go through fire. No shortcuts, no maps, no safety. Just you and the chaos. He called it amor fati. It means love your fate. Not accept it, not tolerate it, love it, even the pain, even the setbacks, even the parts that don't make sense, because those are the pieces of your becoming. He wrote, my formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati. that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. That's power, not because it controls the world, but because it stops needing to. Nietzsche wasn't trying to destroy meaning. He was trying to rebuild it from the inside out, because he saw a deeper danger, that when people stop believing in traditional values, they don't become free. They become lost, and into that emptiness, something worse can grow: nihilism. The belief that nothing matters, that everything is pointless, that truth is an illusion. Nietzsche feared this. He didn't want you to fall into despair. He wanted you to overcome it. He said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." But that why can't come from someone else. It has to come from within you. That's what separates the Übermensch from the herd. The herd waits for purpose. The Übermensch creates it. The herd avoids suffering. The Übermensch transforms it. The herd needs permission. The Übermensch takes responsibility. And here's the hard part. There is no finish line. Self-overcoming isn't a goal. It's a lifestyle. It's a daily battle between who you are and who you could be. And most people will never fight that battle. Because it's hard. It's lonely. It doesn't get applause. But it's the only path worth walking. Nietzsche didn't believe in comfort. He believed in greatness, and greatness, he knew, always starts with a question. Are you willing to be misunderstood? Because the moment you start to think for yourself, the world will push back. But that pressure isn't the enemy. It's the test. And if you pass it, if you face your demons, take responsibility for your soul, and walk through fire with your eyes open, you don't just survive, you become. That's what Nietzsche was after. Not followers, not worship, not agreement. He wanted you to become dangerous, not to others, but to everything inside you that keeps you small. That's the real battle. And it never ends. You're not here to be liked. You're not here to be safe. You're here to become something you've never been before. Not better than others, but better than your past self. That's why Nietzsche matters today. Not because he gives you peace, but because he forces you to find strength. In a world that wants you to scroll, obey, and numb yourself, Nietzsche dares you to wake up. And if you're watching this, maybe that voice is waking up in you. Not to destroy the world, but to rebuild yourself, and from that, everything else will follow. Because the world doesn't need more people fitting in. It needs more people who faced the fire and came out real. That's who we speak to here, at PhiloNest. We're not just making videos, we're building a home for minds that refuse to settle. If you're tired of shallow takes, fake inspiration, and surface-level noise, hit subscribe. Not because it's trendy, but because you're ready to think dangerously. Like, subscribe, reflect. This is PhiloNest, where becoming begins.